Coming up in the news, the nation's leader on island touring a number of projects. And good news for the tourism sector as the Balearia makes a comeback. The Bahamas Tonight, the Northern Edition, starts now.
This is the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Shashina Wolf-Parkinson. As always, it is so great to have you with us. Topping news, the nation's Prime Minister, along with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works, leading a delegation on a tour of government buildings and infrastructure throughout the island this morning. The tour began in the westernmost district and ended in East Grand Bahama. Tonight, we have team coverage beginning with our Megan Shepherd in West End.
The nation's Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, along with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works, the Honorable Desmond Bannister, leading a delegation of cabinet ministers and parliamentarians on a tour of government buildings and infrastructure throughout the island. The nation's leader says that the objective is to get an update on progress being made on this island and to gather scopes of works to be completed.
In West End, we viewed there the dock that needs to be dealt with properly, and of course the environment in terms of the conch shells that has to be removed. Then of course we visited quite a number of buildings. There's a new school that's being built as we came out of West End, the new school, the administrative complex. I think the administrative complex is high-end, and those are the type of complexes we need, not just here in Grand Bahama, but other family islands also. You need to look at Eleuthery, look at Exuma. We need to standardize and have things centralized as opposed to spread all over. It's just some have been moving somewhat slow, but we would have them prepared at least when we come out of this COVID era.
The Prime Minister also made several stops in the Western District, including a visit at the 8 Mile Rock High School, where he greeted students. From the Western District, the delegation moved into Central Grand Bahama, where the Prime Minister toured the newly renovated Garnet Lavarity Justice Center. The Freeport Post Office, which is currently under construction, the Department of Agriculture. The team also viewed the Hugh Campbell Primary School, which was badly damaged during Hurricane Dorian and has since been renovated. Now a major concern for many residents since the passing of Hurricane Dorian and the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the state of the Rand Memorial Hospital. The medical facility has undergone extensive renovations and upgrades. The Prime Minister notes that the new state-of-the-art facility is near completion and shares the plans for future developments.
My understanding is that it would be ready for opening, official opening, sometime in March. Then the question is, where do we go from there? The Beck company, which had designed the critical care block when I was Minister of Health, the critical care block that many would be aware of in New Providence, that's the same company that's designing the new hospital here in Grand Bahama. And that's a 4-story complex, but it would be designed in such a way that as the population continues to grow, you'd be able to move to 5th floor, 6th floor as is necessary.
And as it relates to the Western District, Minister Bannister adds these updates regarding the highly anticipated completion of the administrative government complex and the Holmes Rock Junior High School.
Yeah, the government complex is slated to finish by the end of this year. They've had some challenges. We've all had challenges with COVID. They've had a few challenges. I've gotten some information from them. We're going to be seeking to work with them to see how quickly we can finish the project. With the school in Holmes Rock, that is much needed. Again, there have been delays, but we've spoken to both of the contractors this morning, and they promised us that they're going to have that school for the new school year. And once we finish that school, remember now, the high school in 8 Mile Rock has challenges also. That's always been challenged. And so we're going to have to see what kind of funding we get to be able to do what we have to do at 8 Mile Rock. Also, all of those gyms, you'll see the work is happening there at the gyms. You can also see that we're looking at some docks in West End, but also a challenge in West End is the seawall.
He says that 2 challenges he faced when taking office were the state of the Freeport Post Office, as well as the condition of the island's Justice Center.
We've sought to ensure that your very, very skilled Grand Bahamian contractors have been able to bring those buildings back. So when you go to the court now, you see the outstanding work that Mr. Quant has done. Exceptional. I remember walking on the roof of that building and really being afraid. And I know that the judges who used it were also afraid. They were really concerned about the humidity and about all the other challenges they faced. Now it's back to pristine condition, and we're going to ensure that it's kept in that condition for a long time. The post office was a health hazard and a disaster. Mr. Missick has been bringing that post office back also. So Grand Bahamas is going to have a facility to be really, really proud of.
Now, Minister Bannister adds that Grand Bahamians can look forward to continued improvements on a number of government-owned buildings and infrastructure. Now, following the completion of his tour of government buildings and infrastructure in West Grand Bahama, the Prime Minister and the Minister of Works then moved to Central Grand Bahama. From there, he moved on to East Grand Bahama, where our Ramiko Knowles picks up the story.
Well, thanks, Megan. It certainly was a busy day for the nation's leader, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, as he, along with the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works, the Honorable Desmond Bannister, toured the city of Freeport today. The tour ended with officials viewing East Grand Bahama. The Prime Minister, along with government officials, traveling to the Eastern District to view a number of capital projects that were completed in the area. Road repairs in East Grand Bahama, one of the main areas of concern. Millions of dollars have been allocated in the road pavement project to repair the damaged thoroughfares, some of which are completed and others are ongoing. Now, a number of government structures are fully restored in East Grand Bahama. The structure which housed the ferry dock and police station is fully restored. The Prime Minister says he is pleased with the repairs.
I'm extremely pleased. When I was here last time, this entire building was destroyed, the roadway, etc. Now you see a new dock with a boardwalk, new building facility for ferry boat facility for police, etc. So I think the East is now getting prepared for the post-Dorian era.
The McLeanstown Clinic is also restored and will be fully operational.
The clinic is completed. Supplies, equipment should arrive on the 15th of next month, and the medical personnel would likewise come in. I'm sure they would end the discussion with the health authorities as to how the rotation would be in place with respect to the health professionals. But I'm certain that East End would have not only a great clinic, but they would have also the health personnel there also.
In the future, he says, they are introducing telemedicine, which refers to the practice of caring for patients remotely when the provider and patient are not physically present with each other.
We're planning on making the whole Bahamas introducing telemedicine so that East End would be connected to New Providence, be connected to the RAN, be connected to wherever they need second opinions, etc. So that's the long-term goal, to just bring the Bahamas, rather than Bahamas being an archipelagic nation separated by water. The medical technology would be able to bring it as one landmass.
Following the tour of McLeanstown, the Prime Minister went to Rocky Creek and spoke with residents in the area whose homes were completely destroyed during the passing of Hurricane Dorian. The final stop of the tour was in the small settlement of Pelican Point. Ramiko Knowles, ZNS Network News.
Now, while on Grand Bahama this afternoon, Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, expressing great optimism for an economic rebound on this island post-pandemic. He notes that during the height of the pandemic, the Family Islands did an excellent job at contracting little to no cases. He says it's played a vital role in maintaining a steady economy for the entire country.
The economy will start to boom. I expect not only Grand Bahama, but New Providence and the Family Islands. And I'm extremely grateful during the COVID era how the Family Islands had performed, because the Family Islands, people tend to neglect the Family Islands, but the Family Islands had remained basically COVID-free, minimal COVID, and their tourist product was still functioning. So the Family Islands was really doing their part to the entire Bahamian economy.
Now, in recent days, the island of Grand Bahama has been successful in recording 0 confirmed COVID cases. The nation's leader says that this spells good news for the island.
I've discussed with health, and I know the curfew in Grand Bahama is at 10 o'clock. And sometime this weekend or this week, we should be able to move Grand Bahama to 11 o'clock. And I think that would be very helpful, especially for the restaurants. And if Grand Bahama continue as is, the mitigation protocols of COVID, I expect that Grand Bahama will be freed up even more. I won't care to say at this particular point in time the liberalization, but there will be some more liberalization getting Grand Bahama ready.
In other news, the Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama, K. Peter Turnquest, will not be seeking re-election. Turnquest, in a statement, says after much consideration and thoughtful prayer with his family, closest advisors, constituency executives, and Free National Movement Party officials, he has decided to withdraw his candidacy for the next general election. Now, he says the difficult decision is based solely on his commitment to bolster and support the FNM as the party continues the work of rebuilding the country. Turnquest continues, noting that serving the people of East Grand Bahama has been one of the greatest privileges of his life. The relationships he has formed have nurtured, and he says his family over the last 8.5 years, adding that he will forever remain indebted to the good and fine people of the East Grand Bahama constituency. MP Turnquest says the Free National Movement, with its transformative agenda, remains the best conduit for the advancement of Bahamians and the country's democracy, adding that he's proud of the work done by the FNM during this term. The East Grand Bahama MP says as a party there have been many challenges but also many successes. He says that the party must now prepare for the battles ahead as they cannot afford to lose ground in this critical and sensitive time in history. Turnquest admitting that there is still much work to be done to restore what has been lost due to hurricanes and the pandemic, but he is confident that the Free National Movement is still the best option to manage this crisis and guide the country's recovery. The East End MP ending his statement by noting that he stands ready to do his part in ensuring that the party is victorious at the polls whenever a general election is called, so that the FNM can continue their work in building a brighter future for all Bahamians. And it was indeed a big day for Grand Bahama and the tourism industry as the Balearia Caribbean made its first trip with passengers since the pandemic. As Italia Hall tells us, a number of Bahamians were on board as well.
It's been months since the Balearia Caribbean traveled to Freeport, Grand Bahama with passengers on board. In fact, the cruise ferry was forced to stop passenger operations in July of 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic emergency orders. Well, on Thursday afternoon, the ship sailed to Grand Bahama with some 46 passengers. Cargo manager Ann Knowles says this is a great day for the company.
It's extremely exciting for us. I mean, this is an opportunity we've been waiting for a very long time, and the day has finally arrived.
There were 26 Bahamians on the Balearia, and the others were visitors. General Manager of the Ministry of Tourism Grand Bahama, Stephen Johnson, says he is pleased to know that Grand Bahama now has another form of transportation from the United States.
We can get ensuring that people are safe and follow all the health and safety protocols is what we want. And my hat's off to the government officials for allowing the boat to come in, and Balearia has complied with all the rules and regulations. And so now we just say to Bahamians going abroad and coming back, be safe and exercise all the social distancing and health protocols. But this is good for tourism.
These residents traveled on the vessel and shared their experience.
It's been a year since I've been home. So right now, the ride was good. Everything was organized, and I think we're back on track. So we'd be happy to get more people back on board, and it was nice. It was nice. I enjoy it.
Coming back home was gorgeous. Perfect ride. Glad to be back. All our Bahamians was very excited to be back on the Balearia.
It was a good ride, and I think it will be good for the economy and for the residents. So it's good to be back home too.
And this couple from Texas say, for them, an airplane was not an option.
Because of this guy, he doesn't like flying.
It's a wonderful trip. Yeah, very easy. Would definitely do it again. Recommend.
Did you feel safe with all of the COVID-19 protocol?
They had all precautions. They were very conscientious about it. It was fantastic. Yeah, very well done.
Now the cargo manager noting that the Baleria's triangle route with Bimini will begin on February 28th.
And continuing that for the month of March, this is going to be on every Sunday, starting from February 28th and for the entire month of March. We'll be coming in with a triangle on every Sunday.
Italia Hall, ZNS Network News.
Stay with us. We'll be back in just a moment.